All right, we're here once again, Couch Coaches. This is Couch Coach Live. We're back at you once again on a Tuesday. Once again, December the 1st. This is the final month of the year, man. This has been a crazy year to say the least. This has been it's been a very very intriguing year to say the least. And yeah, man. So what's going on, fellas? How was y'all holidays? I'm gonna go with you first, Maui. How was your holiday?
Man, it was great. It was actually really great. Really
Yeah,
great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know people wasn't supposed to be, let me shut up. But yeah, it was just great. you know.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
but I felt like it was like a rule. I know as long as people did, had their mask on and everything, but it just was so peaceful. Like, I woke up that morning, it looked like the beginning of a bad Christmas. It was just wet and cloudy and
Yeah.
gray. And then about 12 o'clock, I seen the sky, and the rest of the
Mhm.
day, man, it was just a great feeling. Like, you go to the stores and you see people speaking to you. It reminded me of almost like my childhood, like it used to be.
Yeah.
I went to my man Sean's house. It's like a tradition. Introduced my daughter, and then his daughter, same age, and have us has had us some quitos. You know what I mean, which is tradition. And you know, I'm embarrassed them, but Sean's wife, you know, what I mean, she's loves family, and she's losing a lot of her family. And she found a cousin nearby on Ancestry.com, met her
Mhm.
for the first time, and her boyfriend, and it just like Thanksgiving's supposed to be. Only
Absolutely.
thing I had a issue with, I didn't get to see my Steelers do their thing. You know what I mean? But besides that,
And yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that. JB, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was my first Thanksgiving. It was my first Thanksgiving home since like 2009. So I
right,
mean,
right.
yeah. Because like I had been, in Korea,
Yeah.
so yeah. It was okay. It was a bit strange though. It was just me, my mom, and my dad. Like no big get together. So I mean, it was nice. It was nice and it was peaceful. Did a Zoom call with some of my mom's family. So
Yeah, same here.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was like subdued. Pretty much, we went to the uncle house and we pretty much just got like a to go. We pretty much got our food and go. So it was cool, kind of, and it was funny, like kind of. It was weird because we didn't like kind of schedule it like logistically. So everybody was kind of like one person was leaving and the next was coming out. So it was kind of cool to see one of my other uncles as I'm finishing up doing my thing. I see him pulling up and we had our brief interaction. So that was kind of cool. Just to even see my people even in the 4 or 5 minutes that we interacted and we're talking trash and just having a good time, man. But yeah, I mean it was definitely a different Thanksgiving, but hey, it was all good though. But
Hmm.
now what's funny, and you mentioned earlier about the Thanksgiving matchup with the Ravens and the Steelers. Now that game was supposed to happen on Thursday. Then when last Wednesday, the day before, they postponed it to Sunday. It was supposed to be a Sunday 1:15 affair. Then in the midst of that, it got changed again to Tuesday. It was supposed to be tonight at 8 o'clock. Nope. Now Wednesday. It's gonna be Wednesday at 3:40. You want to know why it's coming on at 3:40 in a bizarre way? Because of the lighting of the Rockefeller tree.
Rockefeller tree, yeah.
So it's so funny to think like essentially because I kept on was thinking like why is the game coming on at 3:40 in the afternoon on a Wednesday? That's because of that because it obviously would have been in prime time. Which let's talk about the game first, and then we'll talk about the future opponents of the Ravens and the Steelers and how that messed me and JB up. So we'll talk about the Ravens Steelers third this third change in the schedule. You guys thoughts on it? I'm gonna go with you first. Now it's of course you're directly involved as a Steelers fan.
Well, regardless of me being a Steeler fan and thing, I understand that this year is very unconventional. It's not the same, so you got to think outside the box. So The main thing from what I'm learning is that they trying everything they can. Is they feel like it's too early to do the week 18 because the guy broke it down. I was watching today. He said if they say they want to move it to a week 18 and they move forward and they play you guys, it's another outbreak. Well, they play the Washington football team or the Bills. If they can't have the Steelers playing 3 games in week 18 because of an outbreak. You understand what I'm saying? So but then they have got to look. It's $1 billion industry. It's been plenty of time. I don't understand why they don't have people in place for something like this to happen. I know it's the first time, but they was like, this is such a big game, an important game, money game also for the league that they knew that some people was positive because I think it was the strengthening coach or something like that.
Oh, for Baltimore.
Yeah. They knew he had it, and they said that gives a red flag. That he most likely was with everybody, so they should have shut it down early. But they let it go, you know what I mean? And then they can't start canceling games. But then they were like, the Ravens was upset because they was like, we didn't have time to practice against the Steelers. They're gonna kill us. So they still. And then I heard that they said, what is it? The union and the NFL and the scientists was all bumping heads, and it actually could have got even worse to the point that they might even try to stop the whole league or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I just feel like these guys are professionals. A lot of people getting paid a lot of money. They knew they had to think outside the box, and they got to take it serious, especially when it's getting so close to the end of the season. Like by now, man, you got to take it serious. Like, look at the Broncos, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, go ahead, JB. I don't want to go too far ahead,
I think definitely the Ravens, you just look at it like there have been things going on with the Ravens all season, not related to football. Like they've been one of the teams that I just feel like they haven't taken the situation seriously. And I'm not going to blame all the players because, you're indoors sometimes and you're in close contact with like 50, because there are like, how many people are on the practice squad this year? 10?
I think he's down 10, yeah.
10. So you're in close contact with like 63 people. So I mean, like you could be cautious and still catch it. But like I think the Ravens have not really taken this situation seriously. I know that from just reading and hearing stuff that like they kind of want to blame this outbreak on the Patriots, which to me seems kind of Bush League. So like I don't know. I think at some point, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I know that they've been fined already this year. I think stage 2 is they're probably going to lose a draft pick. I wouldn't be surprised if the league doesn't come down on them within like the next week or so, and they end up losing a draft pick. But for you to have like, I think 23 players are now like out right now because they have COVID. I mean, that's ridiculous. And, like you mentioned Denver, what Denver did was just, crazy. Like one of the quarterbacks has it. And then you're having a meeting and nobody's wearing a mask inside the meeting. So, I mean, like what happened to Denver on Sunday, I think the league is just showing that like, we're not going to postpone games. If you do something and it's an outbreak because you didn't take this seriously or whatever, like screw you. We don't care if you lose 31-3 or 31-0. They don't care about the product at this point. They just care that the product's on the field. They don't care how the product looks. And they showed that with the Denver game on Sunday with, them having to play the wide receiver, a quarterback who hadn't played in like, so many years at Wake Forest.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one thing where and the crazy thing with the Ravens, it was crazy because I figured, like you said, as far as like the postponing, but it's almost like they look at, hey, this is your problem, you need to handle it, because you look at just the mounting of the cases where the running backs essentially was, and then Lamar gets it. Other guys in that Ravens squad getting it. And like you said, going back to that demo point where, like, you're going to meetings because it was, I forgot who was the one that had it, because I know Drew Lock didn't have
Driscoll.
it.
It was Driscoll. It was Driscoll that had it, yeah.
Driscoll had it, but then they end up ended up being negative, but obviously they had to be in protocol because he was he found out on Thursday, and like you said, they had to bring in Hinton, the former Wake Forest wide receiver, and he came in, like you said, it was no sympathy. Where hey, you got to do what you got to do, because at the end of the day, like you said, the product, because you got to have a product, because at the end of the day, that's your prime commodity, like you saying, like, because if this game gets canceled, then NBC is shafted essentially, because they're the ones in essence going to be the ones that are going to get screwed, because hey, it's like, how are we not getting denied of a game? So it's it's going to be one of the things where it's going to be definitely interesting now, definitely going to this final month of the of the regular season, of how that's going to affect. But it just lets you know, and we talked about this even in the beginning of the year, of how COVID is going to have a trickle effect regardless of what happened. It's just like, to me, I always should say it's the 6 degrees of COVID, and in a weird way. And now we're really back in, where essentially now you're looking at, and I'll talk about Dallas situation, because you guys were supposed to play on this Thursday.
Yep.
Now you'll be playing this time next week.
On Tuesday, yeah.
On Tuesday at 8:00, which that's that what gives y'all now 12 days? No, well, yeah, 12 days, right? Is that
12 days? Yeah, it'll give you 12. It'll give us 12 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is not going to help that much. I mean, if they do stupid ass fake punts from the 20-yard line, but I digress about that. So I think that the layoff, because I think the Steelers play the Redskins next, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, we played. We played them.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the trickle down with the Cowboys and the Redskins, because you could make a legitimate argument that it might help them, but you could also make a legitimate argument that might hurt them, because you having this amount of time off is not that good. And in the Cowboys situation, what exactly are you preparing for the Ravens? You don't know who's going to be available for the game. So I think putting together a game plan could be kind of difficult, because you don't know what to expect. Is Lamar going to be able to play? Because if Lamar plays, you have to plan completely different if Lamar plays. And if he doesn't play, you have to plan completely different. So, I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, the trickle down of this Ravens-Steelers debacle.
Yeah.
And it's also, I'm interested to see, I picked the Steelers to win this game, but I think it's going to be interesting to see, because you think sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I think the Steelers are
we play
well
to them.
coached. But the Steelers do have a tendency, if you looked at the Tomlin era, they have a tendency of playing down to their opponents. And you just never know what's going to happen tomorrow, because who's going to play tomorrow. So I mean, the Steelers are going to be distracted. And I know Chase Claypool, he was really, angry about, what happened, because of what happened, they missed Thanksgiving with their families and just a bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Steelers play tomorrow, because I know a lot of people I know Vegas is probably making them heavy favorites, but you just never know in a situation like this.
Well, for me, they all can get angry. I mean, that's just human beings. But truth be told, and some of them making it seem like, and it's good promotion, they making it seem like the Ravens are scared or blah blah blah. But because the when they were going, I think that's what they said. The reason they even playing on Wednesday is not just because of COVID. It's because the Ravens asked could they get it on Wednesday, because they didn't have time to practice. And if they also was threatening to refuse. Let me see, what did it say? It said they were refusing not to play on Tuesday if they didn't give them that leeway of, or they basically refusing not to play the game, period, because they didn't have time to practice. And you got a Steeler team that's already fueled up because of the angry situation, and they man, we haven't been able to practice, so we want to get some time just to do something. So that's one of the reasons why they made it on a Wednesday. But they definitely play to the down to other teams. But I think this season is weird. It's it's almost like they play really a half. But I'm not even necessarily discussing the game. I know this is sports, but I just wish that they take this stuff a little serious. And if this wasn't just the Ravens' fault, it also was the league's, because the league knew. They was like, oh, you can go back, you can go head back in there. You know what I'm saying? It was like 2 days before they actually put it out there that it was getting serious. You know what I mean? They've got to take it serious, man. Like, and even the NFL, I'm not even mad. They saying like, hey, man, y'all knew from the get-go that we wasn't just gonna stop playing games or doing this, and we may postpone them, but the only way it gets postponed, it has to be to a portion of it's almost uncertain the outbreak. You know what I mean? So they can get somewhat type of control. You know, so if one or two people is positive, well, you just gonna have to figure it out. You know what I mean? Which is just like somebody getting hurt. You know what I mean? You got somebody gonna have to step up. So I just wish they, you know what I mean? We need. I remember, again, I say it all the time. I remember playing a horse on the iPad. I remember that. I just wish that they take it a little serious so we can constantly keep being entertained dealing with all this madness that's out here. You know what I mean? It's not as bad, but you know, it is a little different.
So now the Washington angle is very interesting, and that's another thing where it's the trickle effect. So, we're supposed to play the Pittsburgh on Sunday. Now it's Monday. Now, mind you, that's a Monday night game. Now, mind you, we're supposed to go to Santa Clara. We were supposed to go to Santa Clara next Sunday, which is whatever next Sunday is. So, as we know what's going on in Santa Clara, where they can't play contact football in that stadium, and now San Francisco is now going to have home games in Arizona. So now we go to Pittsburgh. Now, instead of going to Santa Clara, we got to go to Arizona. And then get this. And what's so funny about it is, then Buffalo, they go to San Francisco for Monday Night Football next week. They got to go to Arizona. And it's crazy how Washington and Buffalo went to Arizona already this season and had heartbreaking losses. And now we're both having to go back to Arizona, which is so bizarre. Like, I was like, that's to me, that's like 2020 in a nutshell. Well, we both have to go to Arizona once again. But it trips me out. But it's gonna be interesting of how that, as far as the flexibility and what have you. And probably with Baltimore situation, they probably wanted to kind of prolong it to get some guys healthy, right? Get some guys out of protocol. Which, and that's another thing too, of the grade line, because I remember Adam Schefter was tweeting the other day where it could be a possibility that Ingram and them might play, like Ingram, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, because I think they were the ones that were, having it, that were positive. And I'm thinking to myself, because that would give them enough time to play. So it's gonna be very, very, very interesting. But it's a trickle effect, man, and it's gonna, it's gonna be fun though down the stretch and see how things happen. Right. And so, and the San Francisco thing is really interesting too, like how they have a ban in their county, and as far as having to go to Arizona, that's gonna be interesting. And I think that's gonna last for like 3 weeks. I think it's gonna be the only 2 home games. Would be Buffalo and Washington, and we talked about Thanksgiving. So another thing that happened kind of coincidentally on Thanksgiving that kind of brought to the forefront, Matt Patricia was fired from the Detroit Lions, and we know that situation. It was just crazy how and that was another Thanksgiving game where Houston just demolished Detroit in that matchup. So I'm gonna go around the horn. You guys' thoughts on Matt Patricia getting let go? I'm gonna go to you first, JB.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, they were hovering around 500, and then during the Washington game, Stafford suffered that thumb injury, and he hasn't looked right since he suffered that injury on his throwing hand. But I think that Matt Patricia getting fired is kind of a cautionary tale of, like, one, I think that you have to be careful hiring these Bill Belichick assistants, because it seems to me that, like, basically they don't perform well. And I think that one of the reasons why is because he's a very hands-on coach. I think he's a hands-on coach. And I think that a lot of his assistants don't really have much input. So he basically has his handprints all over the game plan week to week, offensively and defensively. And I also think it's a cautionary tale. I think that Matt Patricia wasn't being himself. I think Matt Patricia wanted to come to Detroit and he wanted to make Detroit New England 2.0. And I don't think that you can do that. I think that when you are a coach, you have to be yourself. You can't imitate another person. And I think that that was one of the biggest things. And, you know, the other thing I'm going to talk about too is not only was Matt Patricia fired, but their GM was fired. Their GM's name is
Bob Quinn.
What's his name?
Quinn.
Bob Quinn. And Bob Quinn had been there since 2016. Bob Quinn had been a pretty horrible GM. I mean, you know, you're trading people away every year. And Bob Quinn also, he was the one who fired Jim Caldwell. I mean, let's think about this for a second. So you went 9-7. Yeah. You went 9-7 back-to-back years with Jim Caldwell. Now, is Jim Caldwell a perfect coach? No, by no means. But Jim Caldwell, he had them playing competitive football. I mean, they went 11-5 one year, and they went 9-7. So he had winning records. Like, I think 3 of the 4 years he was there, and you fired him. I mean, did you think that you had a Super Bowl roster and he was holding them back? So if you thought that, I understand the move if you think that you have a Super Bowl roster and the coach is holding you back, but they didn't have Super Bowl talent on that team.
Right.
I think that they misevaluated their talent. They thought that bringing in Matt Patricia with the New England pedigree was going to turn them around, and it didn't. It didn't work out. And I think that this is a perfect example of why Detroit has, you know, not really done much. You know, they're one of the only teams in the NFL who's never made, they haven't had a Super Bowl appearance yet. And this is why I think that, like, they make these mind-boggling decisions. You get rid of Jim Caldwell too early, and you hold on to Matt Patricia too long. So, I mean, what is it? You at some point or another, you have to make good decisions from the ownership into the front office, and they haven't been doing it at all. So,
yeah,
right. And a guy had a really good analogy when he was talking about the Carolina Panthers. You know what I mean? But we're not gonna go there. But bottom line is, you got a guy who basically has a team that just can't get over the hump. They get to the playoffs. So to me, if I'm a, you know, you a GM, you say, okay, we got something here. What can you think you could do to add on to it so we can get over the hump? Not tear the whole team down and change it. You know, like you rebuilding. And that was the issue. So you tore down everything to rebuild, and your foundation sucks. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting blown by everything. It's just not standing up. We should have just kept it brick rather than, you know what I mean? And I think that was the problem. He went in there thinking that I need to get everything based upon how I want to do it. And the way he wanted to do it, it just didn't work out. And the GM, most likely, he got fired because he bought into what Matt Patricia said he wanted to do. So he should lose his job also. Because, you know what I'm saying? You gambled on it. Like I think we had a discussion this before. Okay, we got, you know, like I said, we got this. What can you do for us to go to the next level? What can you add on to it? And he didn't do that. He tore it down, and they haven't been successful too. Not saying that Matt Stafford wasn't, you know, and I'm going to tell you something. I think for some reason, I ain't going to say I'm not the biggest Matt Stafford fan, but I still think Matt Stafford might be a beast as a quarterback. And like when I was watching guys today, they were saying they believe that he's next to go, and there is opportunity for him to go to some decent teams that need a quarterback. So maybe once he goes to somewhere else, we'll see how good Matt Stafford really is. You know what I mean?
And then Indianapolis is probably going to be looking for a quarterback next year, and I think that Frank Reich will be all over it. And another thing I'm going to touch on too is I think that, like, you know, so like we learned this in university, like, so like generally speaking, when you're in a business setting and you come into a company and you get like a high job in the company, you give them your 100-day plan. And, you know, I'm sure that when Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn interviewed, they gave a 100-day plan. This is what I want to do the first 100 days. But I think that what some of these guys need to do when they get a job, they don't need to talk about what they're going to do in a 100 days. They need to spend the first 45 to 60 days understanding why they got the job. So if you're Matt Patricia, why did you get the job? You got the job because they thought that you were going to take them to the next level. If you're Bob Quinn, you got the job because a lot of people stuck up for you. They were saying that you are this bright football man. I think that they didn't understand why they got the job, and they were trying to be something that they weren't, and that's ultimately why they failed. And hopefully in the future, I don't think Matt Patricia is going to get another head coaching job anytime soon. I think that if anything, we're probably going to see him back on Bill Belichick's staff. And, you know, he's a young guy. Maybe 8 years from now, maybe he can do a better job as a coach. But I think that you have to understand why you got the job. And once you understand why you have the job, it makes things a little easier. And then you can implement what you want to do.
Right.
And it's funny, and I keep talking about this, and it's ad nauseum. To rebuild an NFL franchise, it is not a hard task to do. We got to stop reinventing the wheel. And when you're a GM, you have to hire the right coach. Like in his case, and the only reason why, like you said, that was not nepotism, but like that's how it is. We just know that's the NFL's good old boys. Bob Quinn, you know, he's like, I'm gonna hire my boy Matt Patricia. So for Detroit going forward, you need to hire a general manager first and let that general manager hire the coach. Because at the end of the day, they have to be connected at the help. Like I said, like I always talk about San Francisco, and I talk about them in such a lighting way because they did it the right way. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're John Lynch, you need to hire Kyle Shanahan, and you guys are connected at the hip. They both had 6-year deals. That's how you build a team. I don't understand for the life of me why teams, even my team, I don't understand why. Like, and you look at it like Houston, the general manager, like they haven't had a general manager for years. They let essentially let Bill O'Brien, like, you know, destroy that organization.
He was the facto chair. And you know, Philly even did that with Chip Kelly. You know, with Chip Kelly, like, you know, they had Howie Roseman there, but Chip Kelly
was
basically.
And look what happened.
Oh yeah, and what you said, and what you said, it doesn't take long for you because, like, so I was telling my dad last week, you know, if you would have told me after what Chip Kelly did to the Eagles, if you would have told me that within 2 years they'd be Super Bowl champions, I would have told you were crazy. But it can happen. Only thing you need to do, you need to hire the right person, draft the right people, make free agent move here and there, and you have a good team that could, you know, be playing in the Super Bowl. In 2 years, that's all it takes. Yeah,
and like you said, and that was Detroit's fault. Well, in the sense where you look at it, okay, he thought that this team was better as far as that, you know, as far as they're better than what they were. He thought that Matt Patricia was going to take him over the top, and that's like you said, you fail to realize that type of situation where it's like you have to do those necessary steps. You have to hire the GM, and the GM has to make the coaching change, and that's like, to me, that's how it's got to work. So Detroit, the Ford family, this is what you need to do. You get a general manager first. You let him hire the coach, and essentially you're going to be connected at the hip. You both are going to get X amount of deals because that's the only way this is going to work. And like you said, we told so many examples. Philly with Chip Kelly, Houston, you know, Washington to a degree. And you're
Jacksonville. Jacksonville was another situation too. Yeah,
and you see all these colossal failures, and they're all one combination, almost similar to what Detroit has done. I'm like, and I hate to be this kind of person, but it's not that hard to develop that concept and say, hey, let's stop reinventing the wheel and look at the successful teams in this league. Look at those, and then even like, you know, so it's just continuity, and that's what it also boils down to. And you know, and who's, you know, and that's the thing with you, and it's funny because like Jim Caldwell, and you know, he just, you know, it was just, he got the short end of the stick, and it's like, especially when you look at these other Detroit coaches that they've had. I mean, you look at like Jim Schwartz, how they had somewhat of a leech and all this, and then he had a winning record. And it was to a point where I think Matt Patricia can win. He had to win like 20, even if he won 24 straight games. He still won the same amount of games as Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, he won. Right.
So that to me, it speaks volumes. But and also to Bob Quinn's credit, in a sense, he hired him because that was his boy, and that's what happens. And like you said, going back to your point, where the Bill Belichick I call them little Bills, it works in certain places and sometimes it works. And that's another thing too, where people try to reinvent the wheel and try to be almost in the copycat because you thinking you're going to get Nick Saban. Oh, you'll get Kirk Francis. You're going to get those guys, and you think that, oh, you know, Mangini, you know, you're gonna get these guys. He's stud
Charlie
Weiss. Right.
Weiss.
Like, you know, maybe Bill Disciples might be good in college, as I named two of the guys, even though I'm not gonna get into the off the field issue that's going on at Iowa, but in the same token, he has been successful to his credit. But and that's one thing too, where everybody thinks that, like you said, everybody thinking that he's the next Bill Belichick. That's what they want, and like you said, it's now it don't work out, that's another thing too, where it's just interesting how, and like you said, because Bill is attention to detail for everything. He knows everything. He knows the third string, you know, he knows everything. Like he has a just a mind of his own. He has a a crazy mind, crazy football mind, but you're not going to get that, you know, that with, those assistants that he's had. So, I mean, it's
talking
just
about Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Talking about Bill.
Yeah.
But that's probably why he's hands on. You never ever thought about that? Like he probably hands on because they're not as up to where he think they should be, but he has a good, decent, like he's a good editor. Like he'll let them do whatever, and then he'll say, okay, what you want to do? Okay, this sounds good. This sounds good. He's like, they say Vince McMahon is like that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what you guys want to do? And then he has to edit everything and put, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. You know, he trusts his mind more than them. And if you pay attention to when they leave, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh yeah, they
right. And it's weird because it's hit or miss. It's just like everything. It's hit or miss because you look at even the young sisters now. You look at what Brian Flores is doing. He's doing a great job. And even our NFC East brethren, Joe Judge, to his credit, even though they're in first place for now, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but they've been playing pretty. They've been playing. They've been playing inspiring football. I mean, I can't say a 4-8 football team has been playing good. I just, but they're doing better. And I think what's going to end up happening, somebody's going to hire another little Bill. I would not be surprised if Josh McDaniels goes somewhere, potentially, or be rumored in something where he's going to be a part of that coaching carousel.
Well, I'm going to say this. Yeah. I'm going to throw this out there. Now, are we talking about Tom Brady this week? Is he one of the topics this week?
I'm
gonna throw this out there. Okay, so like I'm just gonna throw this out there. So Bruce Arians and Tom Brady clearly are not. They're not getting along with each other. So you look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 43. Bruce Arians is a cancer survivor. He's not really in good health. He's like 67 or 68. You have to look at the situation for this. Both of them are probably in their last. This is probably both of their last jobs. At the end of the year, what do you think about this? You fire Bruce Arians and you just eat the contract. You pay him however long you have, and you bring in Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I would. Yeah, have you watched these games?
Yeah, you're the win now
because it's clear that Arians is kind of stubborn. I mean, he look, man, he's done a good job. Like I thought that he's a great offensive coordinator, but he likes to throw the ball down the field, and every quarterback he's ever coached turns the ball over at a high rate. Like Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, last year with Jameis Winston, and now with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, for as good as he is, whatever, he's never been a good deep ball thrower. And now you add in the fact that he's 43, you add in the decline in athleticism and arm strength, and this is what you have. And to me, it's kind of crazy. Like, you have Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not a gunslinger. Like, I'm going to throw the ball 40 yards down the field to Evans, whatever. He's an intermediate thrower. He likes throwing the ball 15, 20 yards down the field. That 15 to 20 range. He likes doing a lot of short throws or whatever. And I don't understand why Arians is just, it's stubbornness. That's why. It's stubbornness.
And that's what I was saying at one of the podcasts I did this weekend. This is where we always talk about this all the time, where these coaches and their arrogance, it gets in their way, where like we talk about this all the time. That's the problem. Because you think about it, because like you said, like Tom Brady, like he needs like a Julian Edelman who can give him, get it for 5 yards and maybe get like 10 to 15 yards at a yak. that's who he needs. He needs something of that nature. And the thing is, and then for him to, and that's one thing I go back and forth with guys about, because they talk about, well, that's what, as far as, well, that's what he need to be doing. But no, a part of coaching is not like criticizing people, but acquiescing to your talent. You have to do that. Like, to me, it's like a guy like a Bruce Arians, he should, in a sense, should know better. Where in a sense where it's like, okay, well, let me carve up a game plan for him. Let me work his strengths and his weaknesses. Not saying, well, I don't understand. We look good in practice, but then we're just throwing the football. And it's like, and everybody's like, well, I'm glad he calling Tom out. I'm like, no, he shouldn't be calling him out in that regard, because you're putting him in a position where he's like you said, he's not used to it. And like, he's in his 21st season, and now you want him to be a gunslinger at 43 years old.
And not only that, but the offensive line is not that good. If you looked at, so for instance, when you have a quarterback of that age, and Peyton Manning was in the same way, you need a line that can protect him. And I don't think you're doing him any favors by making him throw the ball down the field. I was looking at the game. I was looking at the last 2 games. I was looking at the Rams game, and I was looking at the Chiefs game on Sunday. And I was like, Tom Brady could actually end up getting hurt, and this could be his swan song. He could end up ending his career getting hurt, because you're asking him to hold on to the ball and throw the ball down the field, which with that line, and look, I don't think their line is horrible, but the line is not that great. And if you have that old of a quarterback, your line needs to be superb. Especially
when the games where he's been playing worse, that's when those defensive lines have been. He's going against these stout defensive line, like the Saints. You look at the Saints in that situation on Sunday Night Football, and then you got the Rams. And like you said, going to your point where you got to have a line that has, because Tom Brady want to throw in less than 2 seconds. He want to boom. He just wanted to be right there. Now he's sitting there for a couple more seconds, milliseconds, or whatever. Of course, and we all know what's the key to unlocking Tom Brady, putting pressure on him. And it's just like, that's why, like you said, and to me, and we're sitting here and we got to think to ourselves, we can probably carve up a game plan for him. But stubborn coach, but that's everybody. That's everybody. Even to an extent, Bill, in a sense, but Bill know better. But Bill kind of he'll reel it in. He'll know, like, okay, I can call him out, but I'm gonna put him in the best position to win. But yeah, I could definitely see Josh McDaniels going to Tampa Bay, because especially it's a win now in Tampa Bay.
It's sad. Them games look sad, and I feel bad for Tom. And then I'm looking at his coach. His coach looks like he drunk and senile. I'm just gonna be honest. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And then, like,
I can see why, he's been fired so many times. I think he's a very, don't get me wrong, I think he's a great football man. I think that he's a very good offensive coordinator. Yeah, and he did wonders with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I saw what Ben Roethlisberger did the first year he won the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, and then how he grew to the second time they won the Super Bowl. So I think Arians is responsible for that, but he's very abrasive, and he rubs people the wrong way. And I can see why Tomlin decided to fire him. I mean, I felt bad for him when I heard the story about Tomlin fire him, but Arians is very, 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 very abrasive, and I think he rubs a lot of people. Especially, I could see him and the GM having problems too, because of just how abrasive he is, and he's kind of has this attitude like, well, what I do is going to work no matter what, and if it doesn't work, it's because of the player. No, maybe it's because you're not changing for your players. You can't expect for your players to do it. You have to call the game to your players' strengths, not the other way around. And I think he's very arrogant. He's very abrasive, and just the stuff that he's been doing too, like throwing him under the bus, and it's just I mean, you're like, I'm pretty sure that I would like to be a fly on the wall in that locker room. Of course, with a mask on, but
I still don't understand why he's doing that too. Because he'd be like, well, they only threw to Antonio Brown 3 times and he had 11 yards. Well, he was open. You know what I mean? Like, what is you really talking about? Like, what is your somebody got? Okay, we talk about this all the time. Right. If you are a owner and you have all these veteran players, if you are owner, if this owner, a Tampa Bay owner, please watch the game. I'm sitting here literally watching the game. Okay, that is working. That is working. Okay, he just got the first down. Why is Tom Brady? Why aren't they just okay? Let's go ahead and get a rhythm going here. You just went down the field. Okay, cool. You gonna go down the field again? Like it's ridiculous. They putting so much pressure on their receivers too. Like Evans looks so frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, this keep happening. Now I got to tackle this guy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to. And it seems like they trying to force so much on Evans too. Where number 14, it seemed like the one that's really stepping up to catch the balls. They really aren't trying to give it to Antonio Brown. I don't know why. You know, I'm just telling you flat out. You throw it to him 2 or 3 times, everybody get motivated. They're going to start double teaming. That's how you want to make it to a point that they can't go one-on-one with Gronk. They can't go one-on-one with Evans. But if you get Antonio Brown going, they're going to double team him, and it's going to open up for everybody else. It's ridiculous. This dude don't want to be a coach. He don't want to coach that team. It's got to be that, because this don't make no sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's his arrogance. And I think, like you're saying, because he's been this journeyman guy, so he's like, okay, if it worked at certain places, it's going to work wherever. And that's Bruce Arians. And he's just, like you said, he's just stubborn. And like you said, that's why he's been in Pittsburgh. He's been, in Indianapolis, Arizona, everywhere, essentially. And, so... I definitely like the comment, especially after the Monday night game. I was like, coach, that's a part of coaching. Coaching is not just saying, hey, you make adjustments. That's what you're supposed to do as a head coach. But yeah, I digress. So this is all right. So we'll talk about, and it's funny. This is 2020 for you in a nutshell. We talked about all the craziness that's been going on in this world. And now we gotta talk about Jake Paul. Okay, so Mal, you're the boxing guy, I really want to ask some questions about this, because a part of me, I like this whole the knockout with Nate Robinson in the second round with a minute to go. Right. So, and I've been hearing and I think it's social media, so we get caught up in a lot of BS and whatever. So my thing is this: is Jake Paul just, and that's it? Should he even be taken serious, boxing wise?
He has great technique, and if he's taking it serious, you always want to take him serious. Bottom line is this: as of right now, he's trending, so he can call out a lot of different people. You understand what I'm saying? He can call out a lot of different people, but I'm not gonna say like he's gonna be the top boxer at this time, or anything like that. But he got some skills and he's working on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like even the knockout punch, that comes with training. That's not just the punch he just threw out there. And what he did was, you want me to go ahead and give you analysis on it? I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay?
Because I wouldn't want to see. Yeah.
All right. So really, Jake Paul was bigger than Nate. Maybe not as stronger than Nate, but he was bigger than Nate and he's taller than Nate. So what Nate was doing was Nate kept coming in. When you're a small guy going to a bigger guy, you have to move your legs and try to find a way to get inside to throw punches, even though they're holding each other. You can't lunge in like that. So you can see the professionalism in Jake was, he said, okay, this guy is lunging in. So you start finding openings, and he found the opening. I will say this. Nate was in the beginning, I seen something, and he could have did a really, really good job, but he had a lot of nerves, and he was jumping in too much. But then he got hit in the back of his head with a counter punch, which that's something that naturally happened, and he probably should have got a little bit of time, but he got hit in the back of the head, and he went down, and it took him a little time to recover. He did right by constantly lunging and getting so he can hold, so he can get to the next round. But I also think fatigue was jumping in, and he just got caught. He got caught with a really good counter right hand, and that was one of the real knockdown before the knockout punch hit him. But he was just lunging. All he had to do was get it timed. He got hit with it once and he fell, and then he got hit with it again. He was just coming in. And that's what you do. You always want to set the person up with your jab and your movement for the knockout punch.
Yeah.
But it still was an exhibition. If once we get to the next fight, I'll break that down. Well, it was an exhibition, but at the same time, certain things that they were doing, I felt like was the right thing to do. If you understand. But Nate just got caught. He didn't do anything bad. He had nerves. He did come out, look like he had nerves. Even when he got hit in the back of the head, he got his mind right. I seen that he still had a chance. You know what I'm saying? But he got reckless, and he just needs a little more work, a little more discipline, and he'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on it, JB?
Well, I didn't watch the fight, but it didn't surprise me. And Jake Paul, if I'm not mistaken, he's fought quite a few of these exhibition fights because he fought this British YouTuber. And the British YouTuber, they tied one time. The British YouTuber beat him in like, I think it was a split decision. So this guy has experience boxing, and like I keep on telling people, size matters in boxing, man. I mean, like what is Nate? Nate is like 5'8". And Jake Paul is 6'1". I mean, like that matters. And I always tell people this too. Like, there's a reason why Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. It's a reason why. I mean, size matters.
I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go to that in the end of the show. I'm gonna go to that. That's right.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, it matters. And when I saw the fight, I was like, Jake Paul will probably win because I mean, he's boxed quite a few in these matches or whatever, and he seems like he's taking it seriously. Like Nate, to me, didn't do anything wrong. And sometimes, and I know people, we're living in a society where if you're a boxer and you get knocked out, you're gonna get clowned. Because that's what happened to Deontay Wilder when he got beat by Fury. But that's another story. But sometimes as a boxer, you come in reckless like that, the guy can catch you and it's nighty-night. And that's what happened in that situation. I think Nate took it well. I mean, like I know a lot of people are making fun of him and stuff like that, but like a lot of the people that I saw on Facebook, I can't believe, and some people were making it into a racial thing. I'm like, Jake Paul would probably beat some of you guys up too in a boxing match as well. I mean, like, let's just call it what it is or whatever. He's not a small guy. Nate don't get me wrong. Nate's a strong guy. He's 5'8". For you to be his size, and for you to have played in the NBA, for you to have played in the NBA for like what? How many years did Nate play in the NBA? Like 9 years, 10 years, something like that. For you to
10, yeah.
Yeah. So for you to have played in the NBA at that size, you have to be strong.
Yeah.
But 5'8" versus 6'1", man. Give me the 6'1" boxer most of the time. Like,
and it's funny because I'll put it this way, and that it's one of the things where, like you said, size does matter, and like the wingspan, like, and that's another thing too. Where I think people fail to realize, because I know somebody that was somewhat in a similar predicament. I put it that way, where they were in a boxing match. And they got crumbled to pieces, and I was like, well, then we, because that was matter of fact, I was involved in like a UFC type of thing years ago. So so I knew somebody who was probably a little bit shorter than me. So I was like, he's like about 5'7", 5'8" right around that frame, and he was going against a guy I think a little over 6 feet. But then I looked at it like, well, his wingspan, because everybody else, like you said, like Nate, everybody looked at, he's a brute strong guy, but then. If you got a short wingspan and you playing against, you're going against a guy like that. So that's why I like a lot of it too. I harken back to that experience. But then I just wanted to get your take, because to me, I knew Jake Paul, box, and I heard all the smack talk and him talk about he could beat Floyd, and then I remember him from Vine and all that craziness and everyday bro, like all that silliness.
So from a marketing standpoint, now there's a lot of boxers that just in it for money because they want to do exhibitions. Floyd, Conor McGregor, even though Dana White want Conor McGregor to be in UFC, he can't pay him the money that he really deserves. So Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor, oh my God, it's gonna bring in a lot of money. I am very happy they did this because I could understand the promotion of it and the electricity of it. When I watched it even on YouTube, I can feel how you could be so much into it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this really was a promote. The big fight is next week. That's the big fight. This fight right here was y'all promotion, and everybody was a part of it, and it was for charity and everything. Like, it was great, man. Everybody was this was Thanksgiving weekend too. You know what I'm saying? So it was perfect, man. You know, they gave you what you wanted. They gave you the knockout. Now Jake Paul can talk all the trash he wants to. So somebody's going to step up. And Shannon Briggs, Go Champ, said that he would take the offer and Holyfield to fight Tyson. So we gonna have another one. Who Jake Paul gonna go up against?
And the thing about it is, he would be perfect because, in a weird way, Jake Paul is such a draw now because he's already popular regardless of the boxing exploits. Like, he has millions of followers. Like, he's a Vine king. You know, if you guys remember Vine,
right?
And it's just like, and he's a brand amongst himself. So to me, if I'm like you saying, I'm a young up and coming guys, this would be a great clout matchup for me. Because like, I'd be the guy that got millions and millions of YouTube followers, and he's gonna bring in a draw. So like, he's gonna, like, even if he does this independently, he's raking in millions off that fight.
Right.
So regardless,
he's not gonna have he's not gonna have to independently.
And that's that's the
next one is he don't have to do it independently. They're buying into it now. They're buying into it now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's what he done made a name for himself. This is trending.
Yeah, that right.
Trending. This is crazy. And I was like,
right. We're talking about it because of Jake Paul, because of the notoriety, because like you're saying, that's the thing with him. He's already has a name. So whatever he does, like if he does it outside of whoever, he's going to win regardless financially. We'll just put it from the financial sense, where if he does it, a network or whoever, because they're going to be piling in the cash. And even if he was to do it, I'm just saying, not saying he's that or not this or that, but if he was to even do it independently, he would still be, but he probably won't, like you said, but he has such a draw. He's not just like your run-of-the-mill kind of guy. Like, he's not, as far as the notoriety, because hell, he could do that on his, mess around on his Patreon and have a pay-per-view and will rake in tons of money just off a strip or something like that. Where, you look at now where, and that's another thing we always talk about, like, as far as just the new dimension of everything that's going on now, where, he has, the boxing then coupled with the, the celebrity factor already. And hell, he used to talk about him on ESPN, like, even on here. We talked about him even on this podcast. And it's just like, it's the Jake Paul effect.
So he will be on WWE or AEW really, really real soon because that's what they do. They get he got that fire from that. Him and Snoop Dogg with the commentary is and I think somebody's about to sign him. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. It also, they was able to cuss and just be natural. You know what I'm saying? Just pay-per-view. It was like, man, this is perfect. It's like you watching a game with your homeboys. You know what I mean? Like, I watch the Steeler game a lot of time on the Steeler group, and like I was telling you last week, Rise, he always put the game on, put his phone up, you see his whole TV, but you get to hear all his fellas yell at the TV. So as I'm driving in the truck, I'm hearing the game. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I'm right there, But yeah, it was kind of cool, man. It was cool to see everybody watching the fight and speaking on it over the weekend. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was it was definitely interesting to see that. So Jones versus Tyson, and so we'll set it up. No, we'll set it up. So before so when we did a show last week, before we wrapped up last Tuesday, we put a friendly bet where I said, hey, if Tyson wins, you give me $10 because you had Roy Jones winning, and and vice versa. So we all know that we did 10. Run it back. No, trust me, it was 10. That's what I thought. That's when you said give you 20 as if like because of the draw or whatever. I'm like, no, like I knew for certain because I watched a little bit of the fight and I was like, the way it was going, I was like, all right, I'm about to get lunch money on Sunday. For certain. But it ended up being a draw. So fellas, your thoughts on this exhibition match that went to a draw. I'll go to you first, Maui.
Oh, you want to go before? Okay.
Yeah.
So I watched the fight, and I really watched the fight, though. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And um, I seen Mike Tyson coming in. I think Mike Tyson had a little bit of nerves also, and I feel like Jones did too. Even though they was professionals, exhibition, they was supposed to, like Tyson really didn't throw to the head much. He was going more to the body. And there's a reason for that though, because it was a small ring and Jones was going to move. But what
Yeah.
Jones did was he would go inside and out. And when he would go inside, because Tyson comes in with his chin down, has his head up. And what he does, he uses his head also for a weapon. But what Jones was doing, he would tie him up and he would use his shoulder for a weapon. So when Tyson come in, even though he's coming with his head, he hit him with his shoulder. So as they holding, Jones would do, he would walking forward. When you in heavyweight, you'll want to put your weight on the other person so their legs can get weak in the later rounds. So he will
Yeah.
always walking backwards and turn him, come back so he can have enough time to move his legs and he can go side to side and he'll throw that punch and move and hopefully throw a right hand or throw a couple of combination and move. But what Tyson would always do is come in or throw a punch. And when he throw a punch, he'll throw his arms up and then he'll automatically grab him for a defense. It was very exciting. I didn't even go front. I thought it was going to be worse than that. But it was almost like an exhibition chess match. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that they was just holding. It was a reason why they were doing what they were doing. They really was battling on the inside. If it would have been a 12 round, one of them probably would have got knocked out or knocked down because they would have been tired. You can't hold and wrestle like that and then throw punches to the body without it catching you towards the end. And truth be told, I thought Jones won. I thought he had more control of the fight. No, I'm not about the $20, but if they really was competing, I felt Jones won because he was more or less making the moves more than Tyson was. You know what I mean? Tyson just did what you kind of thought Tyson would do, and Jones was figuring out a way to overcome that, and that's why I thought he would win the fight.
Your thoughts, JB?
I don't have any thoughts, man. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, so I don't really have any. I don't have any
you should
thoughts on
watch
it yet.
You really should. I thought it was better. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. Honest to God,
Okay.
it really was. It was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, I mean, I'll definitely, I'll eventually get to it, but like, I didn't have any desire to watch it because I saw a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this on pay-per-view," and I was like, I don't want to like, give me some other fight. I'll get excited about that, but like, yeah, no, I'll eventually watch it, but I don't really have any thoughts about it. But my question for you, Maui, is speaking of Tyson, because I don't really get to talk boxing much with people. Where do you rank Tyson when it comes to heavyweights, like all-time heavyweights? Where do you rank him at?
Oh man, I shouldn't do that. Honestly, he'll probably be in my top 7. To be honest with you, he's
in my top 8.
Yeah, he's in my top 7, and the reason why is because boxing needed him. And then let me tell you something. It's one thing the fighters, and regardless though, it's still a circus act. So when they saw him, they was like, "Hey, and he coming from New York." They was like, "Oh my God, I could do something with this guy." And because he was so short and everybody was so big, if you really go pay attention, anytime he fights somebody that's closer to his size, he has problems with. That's why, like, because when you heavyweight, you automatically fight big. You know what I'm saying? Because you're used to fighting bigger guys. So when he fought Holyfield, he had problems with him, and it was the same with Jones. Because when he came in with his head, Jones a little bit taller than him. Jones would turn his body and he would hit that shoulder. If you know Conor McGregor's last fight, he knocked Cowboy out with his shoulder in like seconds. You know what I mean? He took him. Cowboy came in, he took him, and he jumped up real quick and hit him with his shoulder twice, and it stunned him. And everybody was like, "What?" So it's the same thing that happened here. I was like, wow, nobody's really paying attention to that, because when you hear commentating, they have a narrative, and it really was a Tyson. It was Tyson. It was Snoop Dogg that was talking Jones. You know what I'm saying? Go Jones, go ahead, Jones. That's what I'm talking about, Roy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's my number one sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My number one sport.
It was so funny when we got when I found out about the draw. I was like, damn, man. I was like, I needed to know lunch money on Sunday, man.
No, you don't. You just wanted to. You know what? That's why you think Michael Jordan is your GOAT. Because you got money.
You know what?
You just want the money in my pocket.
You know what? I took that personal. I'm like a baseball bat like with BJ Armstrong.
He was like, Michael, why are you messing with me? We just paying for $5, $10. Well, it's because I want you. That's your money that's in your pocket, and I want it.
I took that personal. But yeah, man. But yeah, I was dozing off during the fight, like you said. It was pay-per-view. All right, it was pay-per-view and the Friday stick.
Stupid.
Let me stop. Yeah, no, I did not. I illegally played. No, I did. Yeah, I watched it. I went to a friend's house and I social distanced and I watched the fight.
Man,
but yeah,
everybody. Look, something wrong with like people that in their 60s, 70s. Say, hey, I got the link for the fight.
Right, like, whoa, I don't trust that. Like,
watching it on the phone.
Right. How you get that pawpaw? Like, how you get that pawpaw?
Oh, I was on my gram and somebody put it. Let me stop.
He said I was on that base place. He says I was on that base place and I got that link. I'm like, Pawpaw, that's illegal, Pawpaw. Don't do that, Pawpaw.
Oh man, I was on Florida Evans OnlyFans, and she said that she.
What?
Let me stop.
Whoa. Man. Shout out to 2020. That's another hustle, man. We talked about that last week. Oh my God.
Man, I almost fell through. Hoops got one. I said, oh, not Hoops.
Right. I know, right. Man. I was like, yeah, man. Yo, that's funny. We talked about that last week. And I'm like, bro, it's a hustle, man. Shout out to 2020, man. That's the new hustle, man. I'm curious about 2021. What's gonna be the next hustle? Because that's like you said, it's interesting, man. And your boy, yeah, I ain't even gonna talk about Lamar. I'm gonna leave Lamar alone.
Hey, 2021. I hope all restaurants adapt to Chick-fil-A style, please. I'm tired of being in line more than 15, 20 minutes.
That's everywhere. I know everywhere. Every place that you gotta be in line for, DMV, the supermarket.
Hey, I had just ate and I saw the Popeyes drive-through line only had 2 people. I just went through it on purpose. And
you know what's so crazy? And I guarantee you, if there was 2 people in that line, I guarantee you would have had about 15 as Chick-fil-A. You would have got your food quicker.
Yeah.
I'm real.
Chick-fil-A is awesome, man.
Don't you dare go to Popeyes on your lunch break. You're going to be late.
Oh, yeah. Chick-fil-A is awesome, man. Like, I ordered from them last night. Got my food super quick. I order from Popeyes. Yeah. I get my food like an hour later. Don't have a soda. They mess up the sides and everything like that. I'm just like, yo, man. Like Chick-fil-A, they don't fuck up. Great customer service. They give you everything with a smile on your face.
All right.
Oh, sir, we're sorry. We forgot your sauce. Would you like a complimentary lemonade with that?
Right. Oh, look, they make you fresh lemonade.
Anytime you have a restaurant outside the Colonial Heights Walmart and you still able to figure out a way to get everybody through your drive-through in no time.
It's crazy, man. It's a trip. And like Popeyes, they'll just be like, what you want? Food? Like you and then how you offer me a bit? My meal come with a biscuit. Don't offer me nothing to drink. What you think? I need a drink. You know what I mean? Like I'm a choke, yo. Like I need something. You give me a cup of water or something. You give me this dry biscuit. It be like that, man. But yeah, man. So let's put a ball in this week's Couch Coach Live, fellas. Man, let's go. we'll do our game ball. We'll go around the horn. Game balls, fellas.
JB, you can go first.
Oh man, I'm gonna let you go first because I need to think about this.
All right, I got you. I'm gonna give the game ball definitely to that promotion trailer with Jones and Tyson. I think they did a great thing. It was I know a lot of the purse went to charity. You know what I'm saying? And they was able to give some entertainment to everybody, so everybody won't have to constantly deal with their madness. But I also have another one. I try not to always give the game ball to my brother, but he sent me something, and it says Hopewell Blue Devil Sports. Tune into Wander City Sport Talk Friday night at 6 p.m. 96.9 FM 1340 as Jeff Butler and the crew will host former Hopewell High School Hoops VA captain Isaiah Fernandez, who is currently a graduate assistant of Mississippi State University women's basketball at 13 a.m. Fox Sports. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to be interviewed. And shout out to them, man. I got to get the schedule up. I really want to follow them, man.
Hey, you know yeah, definitely shout out to your brother, man, up in Stock Vegas, baby.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'm just really excited, man.
Yeah,
even though he looked like a bass player with that goatee, but I ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah, man, he's growing.
like he played for cool in the game.
It's part of the game, but yeah, man, definitely huge shout out to your brother, man. Like that is like, man, for him to I love that, man. I'm glad. I'm definitely gonna check that show tomorrow. I'm at on Sunday. Not Sunday, but Friday. Right. My bad.
Friday. Yeah.
Friday. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Stock Vegas, man. Crazy.
What you got, JV? What you got?
Oh, man? So this one just blew my mind. So I forgot about this one. I'm gonna give my game ball to Tariq Hill. 13 catches, 269 yards on Sunday, and had 203 yards in the first quarter. He was cooking. I know Flipper Anderson must have been concerned for a bit that maybe his record was in jeopardy. Flipper Anderson with 330 something yards back in the day. But yeah, I give my game ball to Tariq Hill, man. That was an impressive performance.
Yeah. Yeah, and my game ball has to go to my beloved Richmond Spiders. Great win on the road against against Kentucky. And that's one of those. It's a great win. I think that's the first ever A-10 team to beat Kentucky at home. So definitely huge shout out to my guys on Boatwright Street. It sucks that I won't be able to be in the building this year, but hey, man, it is what it is, and definitely rooting on for my guys. Definitely huge shout out to guys like Seth Greenberg, who's been our biggest advocate thus far this season. So definitely huge shout out to my guys
and you guys, man, if there's an NCAA tournament, I hope there is. I think that you guys can do some serious damage in the NCAA tournament this year because y'all have like a very veteran-laden team. Like,
yeah, man, I'm definitely excited, man. It's like first of all, I'm glad that they back in action. I was really crushed, in the beginning of the year for them, not making it, and even was, went to Brooklyn with them. Got to the door, but the door was closed. But definitely huge shout out to my guys, and hopefully everything's going well. I know we just had cancellation with one of our games tomorrow, so hopefully everything goes okay with everything that's going on with the organization itself. So definitely huge shout out to my guys, man. Definitely looking forward to them. And so, fellas, final thoughts before we head on out tonight.
Hey, if y'all love boxing like I did this weekend, it's a welterweight championship. Earl Spence versus Danny Garcia. This is a real one, though. This is like one of those Hagler Hearns. Like this is, Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray. Like this is a big one. You know what I'm saying? So it's worth the money.
Hey, let me ask you something. What Miss Earl gonna have that link? Where Mr. Earl at? Mr. Earl. Come on, Mr. Earl. Like you had me last week. Come on, Mr. Earl. I can't do it for you, young man, young whippersnapper. Y'all little young boys always want free stuff.
Unless you go put a tip in, unless you go tip it.
Come on, Mr. Earl.
Stupid, man.
JB, your final thoughts.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that fight too. That ought to be a good one. I'm not paying money for it. I might try to find a link on the internet. The Zone.
Mr. Earl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cold
I got whatever
word.
you need. I got whatever you need. Don't even worry about it. Whatever you need to talk to me, I got what you need.
Mr. Earl, get you straight. At the end of the day, Mr. Earl, get you straight.
Just hit me in the DM. I got what you need. Don't worry about it. I do everything.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, man. So definitely great show, fellas. Once again, great way to start the final month of this crazy year of December. And don't forget to follow the podcast and your social media, favorite social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under Couch Coach Live. Also check out the podcast. It'll be on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check out the website, couchcoachlive.com. Also check out, I have to do a weekly 4-down segments preview the NFL on outtheballnetwork.com. Probably going to have it out probably Thursday or Friday, especially since we're going to have a Thursday night game. I might kind of prolong it, and then who knows what's going on with this week. So I want to kind of make sure that we having games this week on certain days. So yeah, man. So once again, man, this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll catch you guys next week.
Welcome.
Thank you.